Which legendary Reddit post comment can you still not get over? There was a post on RAWW of a gorilla using sign language to tell people not to feed it or something to that effect. To this day, I still laugh when I think about a comment that said, "It's a shame there's so many deaf gorillas." How useful, and sadly how often I share this advice on insurance after a fire. I know other people have it saved, as I'm not the only one who goes back to repost it, but it's invaluable in the aftermath of an emergency. It's not applicable to just fires. I shared this with friends who were brushed by a tornado that went through earlier this year. Whoever wrote that did many people one hell of a service. Not a single post but a series by Yusha Timorf making up bogus facts relevant to any particular thread and ending with, since 1998, when Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell and plummeted 16 feet through an announcer's table. That time a person on our Formula One asked if you could eliminate a race within the year, which would it be, and why? Which looked rather bad when taken out of context, especially in our all. Maybe someone can help me find the actual post. It was from 5 years ago on a post about what you would do with a specific amount of money, like $5 million in a lottery. Someone replied with, "Is that enough to rent an orange cat for 2 years?" And it was so far out of left field and hilarious to me that I haven't stopped thinking about it. This one guy was on the toilet, and he sneezed while he was taking a shit. That same moment, the power in his house went out. He proceeded to cry because he thought he shit himself blind. Someone written, "Are homeowners trying to get rid of ants in their house?" Tons of comments. One fellow Redditor suggested maybe there were no ants, that they were hallucinations due to carbon monoxide poisoning. OP had his house tested and turns out there were, in fact, no ants, and he was hallucinating them due to carbon monoxide poisoning. I can't remember everything about the post or even which sub it was in, but I think about this one a lot. OP was staying in a hotel and the person in the room next to them was blasting Sesame Street. They suddenly heard a grown man yell, "God damn it, Mr. Noodle, believe I saw it on Reddit," a IT tech related post. Guy starts a new job as a system admin, no other IT at the place. Previous admin had been there for just about fucking forever and left behind some documentation, but not enough to make the job easy. The guy finds a note from the previous tech with a few misc tips, and then says that there is a critical emergency and everything else has failed. There is a box in the server room behind the switch, open only as a last resort. Guy is there for a few years, metaphorical fires get fixed, he learns the tricks of the place, but one day the server doesn't boot, tries everything, can't get it to work, all the files are there, the company can't function, actual fires are about to start. Guy freaks out and remembers the emergency box and figures now should be an emergency, and figures maybe the guy left access info to off-site backups or tape drives or some sort of disaster recovery, and goes into the server room. Behind the switch is a box, pulls it out and opens it to find a bottle of tequila. I still love the R Show Her Thoughts post. Going waterboarding in Guantanamo Bay sounds like a great time if you don't know what either of those things are. I can't find the post, but it was a man whose son was born evil. They knew it right away, born in the 70s, I believe. When he, the son, was older, he tried to kill his baby sister, or something, and the mom started to beat him up. The dad left the room and waited until she stopped. She came out 20 minutes later and he said, "Is he dead?" She said, "My God, I hope so." They locked themselves downstairs for 2 weeks, listening to him move around a little bit here and there. After 2 weeks he left and they never saw him again. This comment from Arnold Schwarzenegger lifting up a guy who had a terrible day at the gym. I always say don't be afraid of failure, because how far can you really fall? You found out, to the ground. It's right there. Now you know it isn't anything that should scare you. I forget the whole thing, but something along the lines of a guy had to go to a dinner with his wife's parents. Ate some edibles not realizing how strong they were. And he was sweating like a pig, claiming how spicy the food was. Then his wife was like, "We've only had the appetizer, bread and water." I have no idea how to get the link, but it had me in tears the first time. Trust me, it's way funnier than I make it to be. The AskReddit, why drug dealers talk about having to turn their customers into child protective services. Shit got bleak. It was a post in RMI this hole where an Uber driver drove a girl to a restaurant where she was meeting her boyfriend. Before he dropped her off, he gave her a respectful comment, nothing inappropriate and without any bad intentions. He was asking if he was the asshole and the answer was no. The best part happened in the comments section where somebody asked if he was living in a specific city. He replied a little freaked out with yes. Turned out it was the stranger cousin that he gave the compliment to. After he dropped her off at the restaurant, she went inside to meet her boyfriend. However, it wasn't a nice night because he broke up with her. She told her cousin that the compliment that her Uber driver gave her some comfort or made her happy or something like that. The girl and the Uber driver then contacted each other through the cousin. I don't know what happened afterwards, but if somebody knows this post, I will give you a virtual hug if you could link it. The story of Jasmine Hill is one of the saddest stories that I have read on the internet. If you guys don't know the story, Jasmine Hill was a fellow Reddit user that posted his story regarding his wife's cheating with his neighbor on Our Relationship Advice. Our Relationship Advice told him that he will be better off divorcing his wife than to deal with her. A few days later he posts something on Our Legal Advice to see how he can secure custody of his 2 children during the divorce. His wife, named Brandy Worley, found the Our Legal Advice thread. The same day she found the Reddit post, she kills both kids to spite her soon-to-be ex-husband. Brandy then calls 911 telling the operator that she stabbed herself and her 2 children because her husband was divorcing her. The call was recorded with Brandy showing no remorse or emotion during the call. This whole situation was unfolding live on Reddit and 4chan. Brandy was given 120 years in prison with a jury saying she doesn't regret her decision not one bit. This 14-year-old kid in an NSFW post when asked what he was doing there, and he replied, "I don't go to work." That one Redditor that spent his entire grandmother's inheritance on a Twitch streamer, thinking they were going to get married. Edit: I am providing the link since so many people are interested. Full disclaimer, I had to close my laptop from cringing so hard the first time I read it. You've been warned. There was an AskReddit thread that said, "What do you think nobody in the world is doing right now?" Top comment was masturbating to me. Top reply was just rub one out for ya. Godspeed, sir. So a while back there was a post I think on our Facebook of a woman looking for a bus to hold 60 people for a church function and was so fucking hostile and rude about it. In one post she says next, and for months on Reddit people were always saying next to everything, but it seemed nobody besides me remembers this and I can't find the post. The burrito rant. A guy ordered a burrito for takeout and took it home only to find they had wrapped it sideways. He wrote the most amusing angry letter. The post where a woman is saying how her husband and Phil are prepping for her to die during childbirth even though she and fetus are perfectly healthy. They 100% were plotting to kill her, and there not being an update has me scared for her. Talking about worst moment in life, a mother described the silence she was met with when she came home and saw the shoes of her husband and child, and was anticipating hearing their laughter playing, but found them dead in a murder-suicide. Three bros who were speeding to meet an ambulance after a comrade was injured, a woman blocked them and the friend inevitably died. Kevin. The world's dumbest student. I miss Kevin's antics and wish I saved that comment. The story of Spontaneous. It's shocking how little it took for him to turn into a full-blown heroin addict, but the documentation of their spiral was more convincing than any dare program I could have thought of. The man whose girlfriend buried his canned beans in the woods. The noisy gotshite story, and the follow-up posts, a very interesting, funny, well-told story. Then it takes a turn. 8 about the guy who ate 6 feet of sub at a friend's party, still can't get over it. There was one that I've never been able to find again, but some guy insulted somebody and he replied with something like "says the virgin with the 3-inch penis" and provided links from the other guy's post history that proved both those assertions. It was an absolute burial. You love to see it. I watched the Woody Harrelson and I'm here to talk about Rampart AMA debacle happen in real time. I think it's one of the only times I ever actually participated in an AMA as it was happening rather than reading the whole thing later. It was magical. The guy who always worked in being beaten by jumper cables by his father into every comment. I've been on the toilet for about an hour now and can't move my legs because of this post. The man who attempted to throw his steak out the window. His wife followed up with her version a little later. I remember some guy asked Reddit what movie really made an impact on their life, and some guy said Paul Blart, Mall Cop, and somehow every post from that point on would end up relating to Paul Blart. Even made some leaks into other threads. A recent one, but that 40-something-year-old guy who bought like 5 Peloton bikes to give to the family of his 21-year-old Eastern European wife because they told him it was tradition in their country. The dude who took pictures of his own balls and electrocuted them to prove a scientific point. The guy on our Wall Street butts who got blocked by the Fed on Twitter because he kept tweeting printer goes BRRRRRR at them every day. Kind of a niche joke, but just thinking about the effort it takes for a government entity to block you individually on Twitter is hilarious to me. Honestly, I think about it every time I'm having a bad day. I'm surprised not to see this one. A guy peed on a pregnancy test on whim, and it came back positive. I think he did find out he had testicular cancer, and thankfully survived. One time on our relationship advice, some guy posted a thread called "My 25M girlfriend 26F baked all the beans. Now I consider to end our relations." What do? It's deleted now though, but I still have the full post. I discovered this in another one of these AskReddit posts, but honestly it's too good not to put here now. Without further ado, here it is. Hello. My girlfriend and me have done dating for 5 months. I thought this girl is very good, and became in love with her. Yet even so, on this Monday, I come at home and found she has baked all my beans. Yes, all. Oh brother. In my cupboard I store several bags of bean, to make soft and to bake on some days, to have a bit of baked bean on my dinner. Or, heck, a lunch too some days. But on the Monday I find this girlfriend baked all the beans. I say, "Why do you bake my beans?" And she say something as I bakes them good to save time, so I bakes them all now. I am astonished and full of dismay. I say I can for not eat all the beans. She say she has froze many of the beans so as we can unfrozen the on a later day and eat some at a time. But, if a bean is frozen and unfrozen, the very good and very nice flavor of bean is gone far. A bean is best if baked fresh as a Sunday pie. Not to be frozen and unfroze. I told my dear friend I am so sad of this, as to my opinion the baking of the beans and to freeze them has ruined all my beans. She say I am gone haywire by my enragement and sad manners. But I hates what she did to my beans. On the days before Monday I thought, will we marry the girlfriend? Well, it might be so. But now I am so sad she baked them beans. I am considered to end our relations and not be the boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. But, is my idea wrong? Could my girlfriend make promise to not bake the beans? I do not know what doing to do and how to feel forgiving on her.